Welcome to Mountain Strong. Today I've come back to Campbell Creek Estuary Park. A little bit different than the last time I was here. At that point, winter was well and truly in place. In December, winter has not yet officially started, and even surprisingly here in Alaska, we're enduring a cycle of freezing and thawing. The blessing that I have in recording this video, though, is knowing that for the rest of the year, the temperatures are only going to get warmer as our family is heading south. We're actually leaving Anchorage on Monday, so in about 72 hours from today, leaving Anchorage and heading down to take up a new work and a new home in Arizona. But for today, just enjoying one last look at this beautiful place, enjoying a sunset, and enjoying a little bit more time in God's book. So today we're going to be having a look together at Psalm number 141. Let's go ahead and read that now. O Lord, I call upon you. Hasten to me. Give ear to my voice when I call to you. Let my prayer be counted as incense before you, and the lifting up of my hands as the evening sacrifice. Set a guard, O Lord, over my mouth. Keep watch over the door of my lips. Do not let my heart incline to any evil, to busy myself with wicked deeds, in company with men who work iniquity, and let me not eat of their delicacies. Let a righteous man strike me. It is kindness. Let him rebuke me. It is oil for my head. Let my head not refuse it. Yet my prayer is continually against their evil deeds. When their judges are thrown over the cliff, then they shall hear my words, for they are pleasant. As when one plows and breaks up the earth, so shall our bones be scattered at the mouth of Sheol. But my eyes are toward you, O God, my Lord. In you I seek refuge. Leave me not defenseless. Keep me from the trap that they have laid for me, and from the snares of evildoers. Let the wicked fall into their own nets, while I pass safely by. The psalm opens up with great urgency. The psalmist really wants God to hear him. And so in these first couple of verses, you hear him begging for the Lord to hear him in particular. God receives incense and worship to him from the temple, but he says, let my prayer come up to you as that incense comes up to you. I want it to ascend to you in the same way that that incense does. And so he really wants to be heard. What does he want? We know from later in the psalm that he is facing a problem, but again, the psalm powerfully teaches us in the way that he prays to God about his problem. You see, the first thing on his mind is not his problem. The first thing on his mind, as we've seen in other psalms, the first thing on his mind is the fact that he needs help personally. What's more dangerous than evildoers outside of me is evil within me. And the psalmist realizes that, and so his urgent cry out to God is, first of all, please guide my mouth, verse number 3. Please help me to control my tongue. You know, James said if we are able to bridle our tongue, we're able to bridle the whole man. And so the psalmist says, I want to control my tongue. I want to make sure that I'm saying the right things. God, please help me with that. He says in verse 4, please guide my heart. Make sure that my heart isn't inclined to doing what's wrong. Make sure that I can lead my heart from those temptations which begin there. You know, Jesus said that what defiles a man is not what's outside of him, but what proceeds from within him. And so he says, I realize that's where sin begins. And so God, please help me to guard my heart. But then also he says, God, please give me good teachers. He says, I don't want to be in company with those who do iniquity in the second part of verse 4. But then he says in verse 5, let a righteous man strike me. Let him rebuke me. You know, as a preacher, I kind of wish, obviously I need to, you know, we're talking about self-reflection in this psalm. I need to reflect upon myself in that way. But I wish I had that attitude more often in those who I preach to. You know, I want to hear things that are going to challenge me. I want to hear things that are going to upset where I currently am. The psalmist says, please strike me. Please, have these people come to me and rebuke me. And I'm going to take it as though it's oil for my head, because he realizes that the rebuke of the righteous is going to be what leads him on the paths of righteousness. The heart is corrupt. It leads us astray so often. It has to be reorientated. And so what the psalmist says, guide my words, or help me to guide my words. Guide my heart, help me to guide my heart. And then give me good teachers. Surround me with good people to make sure that I'm not on the side of those who work evil against me. So again, what's this all about? In the second part of verse 5, yet my prayer is continually against their evil deeds. And so again, first, in terms of prayer, help me not be like them. And then second, help me with them. As he continues to reflect upon them and the need for them to be defeated, He sees obviously the need for their judges in verse number 6 to be thrown over the cliff. There's a difficulty in the rendering of that verse to try to figure out what's going on there. But what basically is happening here is that there's some people with some authority, some judges who are speaking against the psalmist, and so they seem to be high. He wants to see them cast down, and he wants his words to be lifted up. And again, that's speaking to the reality that, of course, his words need to be right, and that's why he prayed for his words to be right in the first place. But again, he wants those who are exalted against him to be cast down. Why? Because as best as he can tell, they seek to destroy. Another difficult verse in verse number 7, but it seems to apply to what they want to do to him. In verse number 7, as when one plows and breaks up the earth, so shall our bones be scattered at the mouth of Sheol. I don't know all that means, but I know it doesn't sound very good, right? Bones scattered at the mouth of Sheol, at the mouth of the hidden place, the realm of the dead. And he says, but my eyes are toward you. So this is the reality that I face, verse number 7, but my eyes are toward you, verse number 8. The psalmist finds in God safety, a refuge. And so he reflects upon that. He says, keep me from the trap that they've laid for me, verse number 9. And he says, let the wicked fall into their own trap while I pass safely by. There's no safety in sin, is what this psalm really teaches us. And so, as great as the problem might seem without me, as bad as they around me might seem to be to me, I've always got to be careful that I'm maintaining my life, my heart, my tongue, and that I'm surrounding myself with good people who are going to help me on the paths of righteousness. It's incredibly important that we are a part of a faithful church family, and that we allow our faithful church family to talk to us about things openly and honestly, to tell us when we are going astray. We want God to grant us wisdom, but one of the great ways He grants wisdom is through a multitude of counselors, people that can surround us and teach us and help us. And so may this psalm help you when you are surrounded by people who want evil for you, people even who appear as judges in your life. In other words, they have more authority or more strength than you in a given situation. May it remind you of the fact that as dangerous as all of that might be, whatever's happening inside of me, it's much, much more dangerous potentially to me. And so deal with yourself first, then pray to God about them. But remember that one of God's great ways of helping you with them is for you to surround yourself with good people who are going to at times say hurtful things to you in hopes of getting you back on the path of right and righteousness. And so may God bless you when you face those circumstances. And remember, the psalmist, he begs God to hear him in the first couple of verses. God will hear you in these moments. Make sure you're praying about the right thing. Make sure you're praying about your heart and yourself first, and then praying about your situation and trusting God to deal with it. May God bless you today.